A good decision is based on knowledge. Plato. Hey, you guys know me, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates. You know I'm an educated bitch. Hey everybody, it's Toy Washington doing the Lord's work every Tuesday with the Toy Talks podcast. How are you doing? Oh, my dear. We are calling this episode Briefcase Bandicoot because it seems as though the closer we edge to the end of the year, these offices and workplaces and managers and hiring managers are playing a motherfucking game. They moving hella crazy. Hella crazy. Okay? I have not seen the commercial space like this ever in my entire life. If I tell you at least the last 2 weeks, I have been so busy paid consultations for businesses and individuals. I've had so many dilemmas. There's one particular dilemma I had to work on last week, and I'm going to get into that a bit later on in the episode because I really think that you guys are going to benefit from understanding what happened, how I advised her, and the outcome. So before we move on to that, you know that usually I like to start by talking about a couple of topical issues that happen at the moment, and then we kind of get into the nitty gritty of the episode and we deal with workplace issues. And you know that the Toy Talks podcast is not just the podcast, but the Toy Talks platform is 2 Black women, for Black women, about Black women, advising, teaching and assisting Black women how to navigate the workplace safely and therefore lighting up the path of their own success. I am a Black woman and therefore I choose Black women first each and every time because sometimes we don't get picked, and it's high time we start picking ourselves. And in doing so, I've ensured that I've created a platform where Black women can feel safe and we can have very honest and frank conversation. So, I was on social media like the rest of us, and you guys know that Molly May, who was, she came second in the UK Love Island, and she's really done well for herself. Okay, she's a white girl, and she's an influencer. She's made a lot of money, and she's been very business savvy. So you guys will recall, and if you don't know, so basically she decided to do a giveaway, right? And the giveaway was like Louis Vuitton, like bags, purses. I think there was like a suitcase. I can't remember how much it was worth, but it was worth quite a lot of money. Louis Vuitton is one of my favorite designers. And she took a picture and basically said, if you want to stand a chance of winning, all you have to do is, I think, tag a friend and tag her or whatever. It was, what she was needing you to do to participate was very simple. Anyway, so today she announced the winner, and the winner was a Black woman. And I don't know about everybody else, but for me, when I saw that a Black woman won, and she won everything that was in that picture that Molly May took of all the Louis Vuitton luggage and pieces, I literally felt like I had won. I genuinely felt like I'd won, because I feel like when you see a lot of these competitions, I don't see a lot of Black women winning. And I feel like, it was nice seeing somebody who looks like me win a competition like that and be really excited. And I was really happy for her. So I was there minding my business. And then I saw a post on Shade Borough. Yes, I go on Shade Borough. And sometimes I just go to read the comments because they are always sending me. Aha! The Shade Borough is petty patty. It's a petty patty there. But sometimes I feel like if you want to read something lighthearted and you want to laugh, just go in the comments. And as I went on there was a post. They had reposted, I think this is a tweet from Patricia Bright. For those of you who don't know, Patricia Bright is a Black influencer who has done amazingly, incredibly amazing as an influencer. She has done so many collaborations. She's done really well for herself. And I believe that within the Black community, she's well respected because we understand the difficulty is navigating life, let alone navigating an industry that wasn't necessarily built for us. So she's done really well. But she had then posted something that was reposted on Shea Borough. And she said, damn, I had a competition to give £10,000 cash to Black women last month. I'm now wondering if it were designer items, it would have trended. My thoughts are that brand names are worth more than cash because they can be shown off more visibly and represent status. That is until you need to pay bills. So I say that I saw this. My friend actually sent it to me, and then I went and saw it myself. And when I read this, I'm gonna really be frank with everybody here, as I always am. Whether it's unpopular opinion, I don't care. It's my opinion. When I read this from Patricia, I was very disappointed, and I'm gonna tell you why. 2 levels. The first, it was a black woman that won Molly May's competition. And I think since Patricia is now saying that she's there trying to support black women, I think the black woman that won could have done with a bit of support. Congratulations is support. Number 2, actually, I've got 3 points. Number 2, when I was reading the comments underneath what Patricia had written, people were saying that to even enter Patricia Bright's competition for the 10K cash, it was like you had to fill out a job application. Baby girl, we in a pandemic. We in a whole pandemic. Therefore, people will not have the time to jump through all your hoops for 10K when they could probably apply for a job for 20K. Do you understand? If you want to give something, give it freely. And when I say give it freely, Molly May's entry point was a lot easier than Patricia's. It was a lot easier. So my thing is, if you really want to give with your heart. Otherwise, don't do it. And I felt like you didn't have to write that because it's just shady as fuck. It's shady. And if you want to be shady, that's cool. But do it with your chest. Write the names there. I'm not into all of this shading and you don't really want to say the name. Just say it with your chest. I respect it more. But at least a black woman won it. We're not even used to seeing that. But rather than you celebrate that, you're now being salty at the fact that your 10K cash didn't trend. So was you doing it just to trend then? Because me, I'm confused, Sha. The third point is this. There was a video that Patricia Bright did. And in that video, I can't remember exactly what she was talking about, but it was aimed towards black women to an extent. And she basically said that what black women need to do, and I don't know if she actually said black women, but I'm going to assume it based on the context and how she was saying it, that in order to be successful, or if you keep getting knocked down, you need to just level up. You can't tell black women to level up when they're leveling up. That's not practical advice. If you come on to my platform and you ask me for advice on a dilemma, my answer can never ever be level up, because the assumption is one, that you're not. But by the fact that you have connected to my platform and asked for help, that's a form of leveling up. But there's no practical advice in the sentence or the words level up. It doesn't actually give anybody any proactive tools to use, take and use and adopt. So for me, this 10K cash, listen, don't get it twisted. Me, I like money, yo. 10K. I can have that. But my thing is this. If you really want to do something, you don't always have to scream and shout about it. But if you are going to do a 10K something, and maybe it didn't trend, but the purpose of you doing that 10K cash is to not only give back, but to give to black women, then why do you need to write a tweet like this? Why? Do you know how much stuff I do on here, on this platform, that I never talk about, ever talk about? Go and talk to my friends. Go and talk to them, because they'll tell you. Because I really believe that if you do something with your chest, you don't always have to stand on the highest point or the highest peak to shout it. Do you understand? Let people talk about how great you are. Let people do that. Half of the bookings, I have a total of 7 bookings for Black History Month. Do you know how I got them 7 bookings? It wasn't because I started beating my chest or whatnot. It's because people I have helped, when I'm helping, I don't know who these people are. I'm literally, how did I start this? I said I'm doing the Lord's work. Some of these people work for a very prestigious company. So when I'm helping them, they can say I'm just doing it out of the goodness of my heart. I don't even ask them the company they work. Not knowing that Half of these people now are going to their company and say, excuse me, you're talking about you support Black Lives Matter. Well, you need to support Black women in the office. Can you see this platform? She needs to be booked. And actually spearheading, ensuring that I get booked and paid. Because when you are sowing seeds into people, you don't have to tell everybody where the seeds are spread. No, you don't. Especially when you're helping your community. You don't always have to do it. Because I'm telling you, those people you're helping, you don't know who it is that you're helping there. You don't. Are you serious? If I was to reel off the companies in which I am booked to do speaking events, presentations, and implementation of certain policies that support Black women, you will be shocked. Even me, I'm shocked. Oh, it's only now I see the contract and my mouth is just dropping on the floor. Yes. It's not beans. It's not beans. So my thing is this. As I'm reading Patricia's tweet, I'm thinking, what's your intention? And remember, I've always spoken on this podcast about Black gatekeepers. And I've always spoken about doing things with your heart. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. But Molly May did something. Now, she could have done it for clout. She could have done it for whatever reason. But a Black woman won. That, to me, deserves a mention. But what we have here is Auntie Patty coming here to now say, oh, she wanted to give 10k cash to Black women. So that means that she didn't want to give the whole 10k. She was going to divide it up, Abby. No problem. So I'm wondering, if it were designer items, would it have trended? So are you saying that you're salty because your 10k didn't trend, but the Louis Vuitton bags that Molly May was doing trended? My sister, is it a competition? If you want to do something, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But I feel like with Patricia, to be honest with you, when I look at her, I'm so proud of where she is and where she has come from and the journey that she's taken to where she is. And I'm very proud as a fellow Black woman, as a fellow Nigerian and a fellow Igbo woman. I feel like if you win, I win. So when I see this, to be honest, I was disappointed. I was immensely disappointed because Patricia's like, the level I see her, you don't reduce yourself to this type of thing. Even if you're feeling bitter and petty, let us learn from Kanye West's tweets. Sometimes you just put the phone down and walk away. You do. Do you not think there's sometimes I just want to cuss people out by name? I just cuss them. She might as well have written Molly May's name down here with her chest. So people now are not even remembering the 10k cash. What they're seeing here is the bitterness. And I'm not saying she shouldn't have these feelings. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, just because you didn't trend doesn't invalidate what you're doing. So now I'm thinking, because the trending thing seems to be your issue, then I have to question your intention as to why you did the 10k. So clearly it was to trend. And in my head, I'm thinking of all the women that follow Patricia. If she really wanted to give that 10k, I'm sure she could have done something that was easily accessible to people to participate, to divvy out that 10k. But when you position it like this, sis, the premise of what you're doing has been lost in translation. And I was reading the comments. I was laughing. One girl said that she's now put the 10k into her prayer requests. Yes! And I'm looking at these comments. Half of these comments are dragging Patricia. Because I think that people have her in a high estimation. And rather than her, if you want to talk about supporting Black women, there was a Black woman that won Molly May's competition. You haven't shown that one support. What you're now doing is castigating that to one side as we now concentrate on your 10k cash. Come on, sis, do better. Patricia, I like you. I think you're cool. But when I see this, I just think, I'm not understanding. And I do question, I get it that obviously it's 10k. You're trying to, do something to benefit Black women in the community. But, this is something that we've seen that you've done. I haven't always seen things that you have done for Black women in the community. I stand to be corrected. But if this is going to be the first of it, let it come from a better place than to trend and for clout. Because I'm telling you, trending and clout only lasts for so long. Hashtag only lasts for so long. But if you do things with your heart and good intention, it's karma. You're sowing a seed into the world and you'll get good karma back. Anyway, my dear, I just wanted to address it because I was just like, I was shocked to see it. And I just kind of feel like if we're going to talk real here and we're talking about navigating the world of work and just life skills, in the world of work, you have to sow seeds, good seeds. And you go into the world of work, and we always, I feel like, are constantly challenged, and it's constantly a difficult environment to navigate as Black women. But I'm telling you the gospel truth. If you do things with good intent, if you sow good seeds, and then you are mistreated or treated in a bad way, I promise you, karma is coming to those people who think they can mistreat somebody who comes with clean hands. I genuinely believe that. So that leads me to something else, and which is literally the foundation of this episode. So a week ago, I received an email from a beautiful Black queen, and she's given me permission to use the situation that she was in on the podcast. And she said, Toya, my job is literally under threat. It's come from nowhere. I'm so sorry to connect with you at this late stage, but I really, really need your help. My career depends on it. Now, personally, for me, I don't do individual consultation. I only consult businesses. So businesses are registered with Companies House, and you have a company registration number. Yes, I don't do individual one-on-ones. I don't. The girl said in the email, so she sent the email, say Monday. Tuesday now, I get another email from her. And she said in the email, Toya, I can pay you £1,000 now, just so you can help me. And anything you want to charge me, I'm willing to pay. And I looked at it and I was like, nah, I don't need your money. But I'm going to help you, because that Monday when she sent the message, I was uncomfortable the whole day. I just kept thinking about it, but I was just so busy. I couldn't get back to her. My assistant flagged the email to draw it to my attention, because I hadn't actioned it or haven't done anything or haven't advised her what to do with it. So I emailed the girl. She said, Toya, I know that you're busy, but this is a thing that you talk on the phone. It's not a thing to email. Can I call you? So I said, okay, I'm going to set up a Zoom call. Tuesday evening, we had a Zoom call. So long story short, she's been on furlough for the last few months. And then this company said that their job is at risk, her entire department. Then for the last 4 weeks, she hasn't heard anything from anybody. She didn't email, she didn't check. And to be fair, it's not her job to check what they're doing. They just have to follow due process, because redundancies are legally governed by law. So there's a prescribed way to do it. So it's not for her to now sense check if they're following the process. No. What her job is to do is to make sure they follow the process when they're trying to apply it to her. So 2 weeks later, they said that there's going to be a company-wide meeting. So when it's company-wide, they mean company-wide, as in all the company, even abroad. So they all joined Zoom. Then they said, if you check your mailboxes, we've sent you an org chart. And in that org chart, anybody who has been circled green, you are going to be at risk of losing your job, i.e. you're going to be made redundant. They used the word. So when this girl now looked on that chart, in her team, she was the only one that was circled. She said, Toya, I was highly embarrassed. Highly. As she's talking, I'm like, you're joking. In this London. I said, it's not possible. She said, Toya, this is what happened. I said, okay, go on. She said, Toya, within 48 hours, they basically said to me that they basically put in a meeting for 48 hours later, and they basically said to her, you have been made redundant. You've been here for 4 years and 8 months, but we're only going to pay you for 4 years. We're not even rounding it up. So that extra 2 months is not going to do. Your job is gone. So I said to her, what do you have in writing? She goes, as much as possible, she's tried to put stuff in writing that she will send it to me. Okay, I said, send it. I said, I'm going to tell you how to deal with this. And if you deviate from how I've told you to deal with this, then you have to bear the consequence. She said, Toya, I'm ready to do what it takes. I said, no problem. I dedicated an entire day to go through the emails that she sent me, because I wanted to make sure that what I'm going to advise her, what I'm going to do for her is going to be the right thing. But equally, this company did not go through due process. They didn't give her consultation. That company-wide thing they did was announcements. That one is company announcements. That one is not company consultation. I've never heard of company consultation before. That's a bullshit. I then asked her, send me your employment contract. She said, I've been looking for that employment contract. I said, go to HR, get your employment contract. She said that HR were dithering. Till this day, HR never sent her employment contract. I said, how did you get the employment contract? She said, email. I said, you must go through your email. I said, you must find that employment contract. Otherwise, I can't do nothing for you. She searched, she found it. I read what it says about redundancy. I read about other obligations and everything. I constructed an email to her line manager. And CC'd in the email was the HR business partner, because I told her, because I was seeing everybody who was part of the email chain in her emails. So I gave her a list of everybody. And the CEO of that company, because it was the CEO that made the announcement and embarrassed people. In that email, dear the line manager, because it's also about hierarchies, the line manager, from the line manager HR, from the HR CEO. But the reason why I wanted to put the CEO is for the avoidance of doubt. So that when he's thinking about risk and reputational risk, he's getting an overview of what that risk looked like in that email. But he's only on CC. When it comes to putting her line manager on 2, the reason it's important is because if she just sent that to the CEO, it looks like she is kind of ignoring the fact that her manager is her senior. Do you understand? Yeah, you have to play the politics. I read email. Dear Linda, I am shocked, disappointed, and dismayed at the way this redundancy has been handled. Full stop. As you are aware, my employment, please see employment contract attached, was signed on so-and-so date. And we are governed by the employment law of UK, because my employment contract jurisdiction is UK. As you are aware, we are in a pandemic, but there has been no legislation, temporary or otherwise, that has been handed down that has said that the prescribed way of redundancy and procedure and process is paused. Therefore, all procedural and legal requirements of redundancy must be adhered to. The consultation was not only flawed, but misquoted, because that was a company-wide meeting. These are the steps, and name the steps, that needed to be done as part of a due process when dealing with redundancy. This company failed to do any of them. I have therefore sought external advice in regards to my legal position in regards to this attempted redundancy. You have also not given me the opportunity to ask questions. How was it decided that would be made redundant, and what criteria was used? You have failed on numerous occasions to disclose this to me. Please see email query attached. I put it there. If there is no longer a job for me, because of the financial constraints of the pandemic, and therefore you cannot afford to keep me on, I completely understand. However, if you are not going to follow due process, I will have to seek legal redress. In order to avoid this, I hope we can come to a happy, healthy compromise. Full stop. I said to her, you see how this email is written? Don't add and don't subtract. Send it. As soon as she sent it, within 2 hours, she emailed me. She says, Toya, they will not stop calling the phone. I said, you will not pick that phone. You see, white people, they can't deal with pressure. You see, the pressure that they try to tension you with, you will tension them for 24 hours. I say, yeah, 24 hours. I said, do your job, but do not respond to anything to do with this email that you sent about redundancy. This email that I've constructed for you is like a paracetamol, because we need to numb their madness. She said, Toya, Whatever you say, that's what I'm going to do. I said, no problem. Later that day, we scheduled a Zoom call. I said, this is what you're going to do. Anything they say on a call must be documented. Do you understand? She said, yeah. So I said, I suggest to you that if you want to have the call, no problem, but you must write down notes. She goes, oh, I'll record it. I says, no, because if you record it, you have to tell them you've recorded it. Recordings are inadmissible in court. You can't use it. And at the end of your Zoom call with them, you will summarize the meeting and send it to them. Do you understand? She said, yes. I asked her a question. I said, if they were to make you redundant, as in they go through the procedure, everything, and they were making you redundant, they said, you have a choice to be made redundant, how much would you want? She said, you know what, Toya? To be fair, I want about 50K. But that company is going to go broke. That company, by the end of the year, the company will go broke. So let me collect 25,000. I said, are you sure? She said, minimum 20K. I said, no problem. She had a call with the company. They were shouting, and then she was quiet. Then obviously after a while, they were like, oh, she shouldn't have sent this email. When they finished, she said, you didn't consider our feelings when you basically humiliated people with a circle. I'm the only one in the team that you decided to put their job at risk and make redundant. And you expect me to be okay with the way you did it. I'm not happy with it. And I'm quite happy to go to the courts. And even if there's a delay due to pandemic, eventually we'll have our day in court. They said, what do you want? She said, I need some time to think about it and I'll come back to you. She goes, I'm feeling very stressed with this call. Can we have a call later on in the week when I've had a chance to process everything, because I'm still having to come to terms with the humiliation from the global meeting. They said, okay. When she told me this, I laughed. She summarized it in an email. She sent it to them. Then her and I had another call. I said, okay, I'm going to write you another email. And you hit reply. So basically, your summary will be underneath and then you'll reply to all of them. She said, okay. In that email, I basically detailed what she wanted. She'll want a reference, a standard reference with agreed wording. Also, as well, she said that she was offered pay rise, but because the pandemic happened, they never fulfilled the pay rise. So when they're given a redundancy, they'll have to add the new rate of pay. They can't do it on the old one. I wrote it there for her. And they need a settlement of 20,000. Because if she was to go to court, we worked out how much she could possibly get. And also as well, we made clear in the email that even though she was on furlough, they made her work, which is a breach of the regulations that govern the application of the furlough scheme. And the person who has to pay the price for it is not this girl, it's the company. And she's quite happy to tell HMRC. I wrote it there. Do you know they settled on 18,500? 80. And let me, listen, don't get it twisted. She could have got a lot more. But the reality is, she was smart enough to know that the company is going to go broke. Some money is better than none. And it's that 18.5K is more than what she would have got based on the standard statutory redundancy package that they were going to give her. But they knew the risk. She was working during furlough. Then you want to humiliate her. You in the global meeting. You didn't follow due process with redundancy and you think you're going to go scot-free. Not when somebody comes to talk to Toya. You're not going to get it free. You can't go free. They paid that 18.5K last week, Friday, because she also said that she doesn't want it in bits. It has to be one lump sum. And then on top of that, they have to give her whatever the statutory redundancy is. Yes, that's what she got. So she probably got maybe about 22,000 or 23,000. Yeah. She gave me permission to discuss this on the podcast. So when I called this episode Briefcase Bandicoot, it's because some organizations are just going mad, running a game, thinking that everybody's stupid. No. Yes, I've got a legal background, but I know my rights and I know employment contracts very well. What HR do is they download and print off a template They send it. They don't even look at it properly. Her employment contract wasn't even countersigned. If you see, the drafting was so poor that, in fact, I could have squeezed them for more money for her. I could have squeezed them because they were moving mad. Like, it wasn't even a tight contract. They breached a couple of things anyway in that contract because I asked a couple of questions, but I thought, let's not go down that route. Since you've told me that you accept the redundancy, since you've told me that you don't even want to work for them anyway, but the fact is, of what they've done, they have to pay for it. They have to pay for it. They have to pay. So, long story short, she's very, very, very ecstatically happy. And she said to me, Toya, I would like to give you what you would charge a business. I'd like to give you that money because you put work into this. And even though it didn't take you, as long as if I went to a lawyer, the fact is, it's because you know your stuff that you were able to do all of these things. Within a week, you were done. So I said to her, listen, I can easily say to you, this is my bill. But you know what? I didn't agree to help you because I thought I was going to get paid. After all, I didn't even know I'd be able to recoup any money until things were happening. I said, all I want from you is a prayer. Pray for me. You see this seed I've sown here? I said, there's going to be a young black girl, a young black woman coming up. Remember what I have done here and help a young black woman. All I ask is prayer. I don't need your money. Because I know that what God has prepared for me is going to be amazing. And I'm sitting here now telling you, I'm booked and busy for Black History Month. Booked and, in fact, I'm not actually taking any more bookings. I'm booked and busy. I feel like that is my blessing. So, first of all, when you're doing something and you're looking for where you are trending, that's not good intention. Sometimes I feel like people do sometimes need to be told what you're doing because some people think you're not doing shit. I agree. But not when you're trying to take a swipe at somebody else. And I feel like as black women and as gatekeepers, we have a duty. And our duty is to maintain the gate being open for other black women. My duty is to continue to sow seeds because maybe I'm sowing them seeds for my kids. Maybe my children, when they are in sticky situations at work, or maybe when they're just in the education system, somebody can see my child and take them under their wing and ensure that my child lights up the path of their success. That is me. That's what I mean when I say sow a seed. Sometimes them seeds are not even for me. They're for my kids. So if they're for my kids, they're for me. But you understand what I'm trying to say? It's really important that you really read your employment contract. And if you don't understand what's in the employment contract, then you ask. Because you see, this October, I've told you guys already, some people have been made redundant, don't even know that they're unemployed. They don't even know they're unemployed. I've told you this in a previous episode. October is coming. You see Game of Thrones, they say winter is coming. No, this one is Briefcase Bandicoot. October is coming. It's not a joke thing. Excuse me. It's not a joke. And my prayer is that with a lot of the job losses that are going to happen, I'm praying that people really utilize this opportunity to either find what they're passionate about, take the lessons from this. And when I say the lessons, what I've come to realize as a massive lesson in terms of the commercial space is that it's really important to find a specialism. It's important to find a niche because that niche means that you will always be paid and you will be paid a premium. So I found what my niche is, and I am very blessed that even though I didn't have, so I finished my official contract finished in April, but I decided to take a break. During my break, I've been doing consultations, so it wasn't really a break, and I've been making money. And I felt like, thank God, I found a specialism that was niche enough that even during a pandemic, I'm still working. Do you understand? I definitely feel like the tech industry, the finance industry, and government, public sector have done very, very well during this pandemic because I believe a lot of their functions have been working irrespective of the pandemic. The pandemic hasn't really affected. People can still do business as usual. Do you understand? There are certain businesses that require footfall and they're really being hit by this pandemic because we're told to stay home. And even if people are returning to the office, they're not resuming normal working life. Maybe they're doing a couple of hours. They're not necessarily going to the coffee shop, because for them, they're exposing themselves to the coronavirus. So the way in which we're living has completely changed, and I think it's going to change forever. Vaccine or no vaccine. Me personally, I'm not taking vaccine. But what I'm trying to say is, this is the worst in my lifetime that I've seen it. And I'm seeing that specialisms and certain industries are doing very well because they're forward thinking, because they're niches. And I definitely feel like I have had a new renowned respect for my career. I have, in terms of how my industry has coped with what's happened. And I therefore encourage everybody to really think about whether the industries you're working in has really helped you, whether it has stood the test of this pandemic, and more importantly, are you happy in what you're doing? Last week I did a dilemma episode, and a lady asked me about kind of switching careers in her 30s, and I've said, like, there is no barrier to changing careers, especially if you're passionate about something else. I always encourage people to do what you're passionate about, because if you do what you're passionate about, you'll do it with all your might. And I've always said this, believe it or not, I love contract consulting, contract management. That's my bag. I love it. So I miss it so much. Even though I took a break, and it wasn't really a break, I kind of missed that structure. So I've been having loads of conversations about contracts and stuff, and I've really, really been happy at the fact that even though this time has been really tough, I've fallen in love again with what I love doing. And when people say, that they love their jobs, I never used to understand what that meant. I didn't, because it took me a long time to find out what I was good at and what I wanted to do. But now I'm here, I completely understand what people mean. It's highly pressurized. It's very, very stressful what I do, but I do it for the love of contracts. I do it for the negotiation. I do it for working with international clients, cross jurisdiction. And the type of contract management I do is very, very niche, and I don't really want to talk about what it is because it's quite sensitive. But believe me when I say that if everything I have been through in my life has led me to where I am right now, then we thank God. But I don't feel as though people need to walk on hot coals and walk through the bitter wilderness to find out what they want to do or know how to navigate work. And this is why I have this platform, because there's so many things I could have done differently growing up. I wish I had, a platform like this that could have educated me as I was navigating work, because I could have avoided a lot of stuff. I could have avoided, or at least better dealt with, a lot of the trauma I dealt with in work. And I think a lot of us deal with a lot of trauma at work, and as we are unpacking and dealing with it, we're still working. Do you understand? And when I think back to all the things I've been through in the world of work, I just feel like I wish people understood the difficulties in being a Black woman at work and the complexities that are involved in it. And I'm so happy that I have created this safe space platform in Toya Talks to be able to educate. And it's, for me, going into organizations and educating them is equally making it easier, I believe, for Black women to navigate. And the conversations that are coming about from Black women within these organizations are amazing, and they're literally career transforming. So I just wanted to share that story with you, and fully accepting that I was supposed to do a redundancy masterclass and it hasn't been uploaded to the Toya Talks website. And I'm going to say that masterclass will go up before October, because I know in October people are really going to need the Toya Talks redundancy masterclass. So if you go on my website, www.toyatalks.com, you will see I've got masterclasses on there already. The redundancy one is needed. And I've had so many people inquiring, asking me for redundancy advice that I know that has been covered in the redundancy masterclass. So that will go up before October, God willing, by the grace of God. I think something else that is important as well, and I just want people to know that you're not going crazy. Like, the commercial space and recruitment is mad. It is crazy. You've got agencies that won't even call you back. Like, some of my friends, the stories they tell me about recruiters, it's just crazy. And the hoops and hurdles that you have to go through is absolutely shocking, you know. But this is where we are. Recently, and I say recent, it was a couple of months ago, I had an interview. Now, I hadn't applied for this job. It was a particular agency that have known me for a really long time. They said, Toya, there's this role. I don't know where you are at the moment, but I'd really like to put you forward for it because I think, you know, you'll do well. So I says, well, I'm kind of taking a break, but if an interview comes up, I'll have the interview. I don't know if I'll take the role, but I'll have the interview. She's like, all right, cool. And I'm one of those people that always encourages people to do interviews because interviews are a skill. So I did an interview, and when I said I did the interview, before then, the two people that were interviewing me, we're going to call her Sally and Jane. And when I saw Sally's name and Sally's last name, I realised that I used to work with Sally. She was in the same department, but a different team. And one thing I know about Sally is she don't like doing no work. Yeah, she's a manager, or we should call it head of procurement, but she don't like doing no work. If you read her contracts, I'm sorry, I know for procurement professionals, some of them, they lean towards the procurement strategy rather than the contracting side of procurement. But this one is called head of procurement. Therefore, I was expecting to see a contract that was at least illegible. This was not legible at all. I couldn't understand what she was writing. And I remember where I used to work with her, they made her redundant, but part of the reason they made her redundant is because she did no work. So when I got on this Zoom call interview, if you saw the way Sally was behaving, because her shoulders were so high, her shoulders were to her ears, because she wanted to show me, look at me now. And I was just looking at her thinking, girl, you need to relax, because like whatever money you're on, I'm on a day rate, bitch. So I owe more money than you. So you need to relax. Sorry, that's the petty side of me. So as they were asking me questions and stuff, the interview went fantastic. And I asked them questions as well about their processes, about what they've implemented from a contract perspective, where they need the consultancy help. And also as well, I wanted to understand how it works at the moment from a contracting side and how they see a contract consultant adding value. And those questions are really important because it allows you to know the type of work that you have to do, the breadth of the work, but more importantly, how bad it is there. Yeah, because as a contractor, I'm usually firefighting. So I have to then balance firefighting, BAU, and also implementing stuff that they don't have. I felt the interview went really well. So the other lady, Jane, is head of legal. So obviously, because of my legal background, I understood from a legal perspective things that she was saying. And she was even saying to me, she was like, wow, like you went and did your law master's in law. She goes, that's fantastic. I was like, yeah, I just didn't want to be a lawyer. And you know, that just wasn't my choice. And actually I found that my career progression and from a financial perspective, I just earn money and I've progressed a lot further in my career doing what I do rather than being a lawyer just to go to court. And she started laughing. So 2 days later, I get a call from the recruiter. And the recruiter said, Toya, they loved you. And Sally said that you are how she remembers. Very vivacious, very on the ball, very switched on. And Jane really wants to work with you. But Sally said that there was a question she asked you and she felt that you gave a more procurement answer. So I said to the recruiter, no offense, that's nonsense. She goes, I know. I said, that's actually nonsense. Why would I, as a contract consultant, give a procurement answer? I don't know what the procurement answer is. I only know procurement insofar as it affects my contracts. I have a diploma in procurement, level 4. And the reason I have that diploma is to help me have more robust contracts when I'm sitting within a procurement function. But the answer I gave her was not procurement based. But unless you know your job, you wouldn't know the difference. So I'm not surprised that she said something like that. And she was like, you know what, Toya, don't even worry. I don't even think you wanted it anyway. I says, not really. Not when that is the type of attitude I'm going to get. And I said, and also as well, I think it's important from a practice perspective, I do interviews. So I don't mind doing them. It's not every job you're going to get. She said, yeah, true. So yesterday, I received an email, but I literally saw it an hour ago, sitting in my junk box. And I would encourage everybody to keep looking in their junk box because my junk box is mad. It's the devil. Do you know the recruiter come back to me and she said that the person they hired, they had to let go of them because that person was more procurement and they need somebody more contract consultant. So they hired a procurement consultant to do contract consulting work. And they did it because the person was cheaper. So that person, they had to let them go. She said, Toya, I'm going to be very honest with you. She wrote it there. They asked whether you would consider coming in and doing the role. So I've responded to her and I said, I'm unavailable. And then I said, I'm always the first choice. And I haven't heard back. I'm sure I'll hear back tomorrow. And I'm going to say this. The reason why they didn't hire me for that particular contract isn't because I gave a procurement answer to a particular question. It's because the questions I was asking made Sally uncomfortable because she knows when I go in there and actually do the job I'm hired to do, rather than her see me as an ally, she sees me as somebody who will highlight the flaws and her insecurities in the job that she's doing. That's the reason. Because I don't see how a procurement professional can make a decision on a role that's contract consulting and you can't even read simple mobile phone T's and C's. So how are you going to come and tell me nothing? This is what I mean when I say, you see right now in the job market, they're mad. They're mad. Absolutely mad. And they're doing stuff and it could be like the most minor thing and you could just be out of the running. And I want people to know it's not you. It's just a reflection of what's happening. And the reason why they're being so pedantic like that is because they know they can drive down the salaries. They can drive down the day rates. And people are desperate for roles now, especially during a pandemic, but also because there's a lot more people in the job market. So if they have a lot more people, they can create layers of interviews, drive down the rate, and somebody will be desperate enough to take a lower or marginally lower rate than what they normally would do. And what that means is people who are actually really good at what they do are overlooked because their companies are happy to also go for somebody who's cheaper. That is not a reflection of you as a professional. It's purely a reflection of what's happening right now. This is, I think somebody in the press called this Black Monday? But this is a race to 2021, to be honest, because this is crazy. I know my job exceptionally well, okay? At the same time, I'm always learning new stuff. New legislation comes out. New organizations do things differently, always learning. But no one can stand in my face and tell me that when you ask me a contract consulting question, that I give you a procurement answer. That's quite insulting because I know the difference, boo-boo. So Sally is still on her probation there because that company that she's working in, she hasn't been there for long. I promise you, by the end of her probation, they'll see that she doesn't know how to do her job and that she's just full of shit. But the thing is, with white people, and I say white people because a lot of people who are in positions of seniority and influence are usually white. They don't really have to work hard for those positions. They don't. They've already ticked 40% of the 100% criteria by just being white. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Some of these people, they'll tell you they work their way up. Not one qualification. Not even SATs, not even. But they'll work their way up. Black people do not have that luxury. Black people have to. Ethnic minorities have to have something backing up their experience, and it's education. Education is not necessarily going to university. Education can be a diploma, but it's a qualification that allows you to advance at the application stage of a job. Because I'm telling you right now, what differentiates me and maybe another contract consultant can be the fact that not only do I have a law degree, I went to law school and I got a master's. And then I've worked for all these brand names. When I say brand names, the Louis Vuitton of companies, I've worked for them. When I was doing all of this, my peers used to be mocking me. But look at what it is now. Half of the people I went to law school with, half of them have been made redundant. I know this because they put it on a Facebook group. They think I'm coming to tell them to talk to them. No, I'm just looking, I'm reading. And this is what I always say, your path is your own. And you have to be in love with what you do and passionate about what you do. Because there are people that are going to tell you that the journey you're going on, nah, there's no through road there. And don't get me wrong, the real ride or dies will tell you the truth. And I say ride or die in inverted commas because I ain't dying for no one. But you know what I'm saying, innit? I think that one thing that I've always been clear on is that I knew that my career journey was exactly that. It was a journey. It wasn't like I woke up one day and decided to be, okay, I didn't even know contract management existed. I didn't. I just knew that I was very good at contracts, had my law qualification, and I just wanted to do contracts. So what can I do? And in the book, in my book that I'm writing, you guys know, I do talk about that a bit because it was really horrible. And actually, I have an episode, Walking in the Career Wilderness in season 1 of the Toy Talks podcast, where I talk about walking in the wilderness, the career wilderness, and not really knowing where you're headed, and understanding as well that sometimes in everyone's career, different points of your career, you go through multiple crossroads. That's just healthy. It's normal. Even for me, I recently was at a crossroad. Like I feel like every few years you're at a crossroad, and that is just, it's almost like a sense check. The universe is sense checking whether you're on the right path. And I definitely think that taking your time, like if you're not happy with maybe an area that you're working in your specific career, maybe you're in your career, there's other niches and areas that you can specialize in or that might interest you. I think this is definitely the time during a pandemic to do that research and to invest in yourself. I've always told you guys, your manager is not the key to your success. I've always told you guys, your friends are not the key to your success. What is the key to your success? It's you. It's the sacrifices you make. It's the priorities you place on your career. That's going to be the key. And I just really wanted to just share that with you because I definitely want to I just definitely want to comfort people in this period of time because the world of work has changed. It's completely transformed. And as I'm speaking to organizations in the Toy Talks capacity, or just recruiters who are checking in on me, asking me if I'm available, I definitely know that it's a very difficult time out there. And I just want all my Black queens to just take care of themselves and to self-care and to understand that what is happening is not a reflection on your ability to do a job. It's a reflection of the market. But in order for you to at least remain competitive, in order for you to really be attractive to employers, it's very important that number one, that your CV is on lock. ToyaTalks.com, we've got a CV masterclass. You have to work on your job applications if you're applying for a job rather than sending in your CV. Again, on the Toy Talks masterclasses, the CV masterclass, I talk about job applications and how to fill them out. I give you all the secrets, at least to get you to interview stage. If you go on ToyTalks.com, there's a masterclass on interviews. I teach you the techniques I use that work for me each and every time. Each and every time. You know something? That role that I did and I got interviewed for, and they didn't end up taking me. Do you know what? I felt like I knew that they would come back. I just didn't know how long it would take. Because I think that once you're able to deliver in an interview and your personality comes across, you're able to do the technical stuff, whatever the technical stuff is in your field, then if it's a choice between you and somebody else, it could just be maybe because you said a word differently to someone else. But if you leave a good enough impression, that hiring manager, that recruiter will remember you. And it's happened to me several times where people have just remembered me and been like, you know what, maybe you didn't fit in here. We think that you might be a better fit here. It's happened to like family members as well. Acing interviews has to come from participating in interview processes. Like I could, you know, when I was a perm, I'd have perm roles and I'd be happy that I'm not going to leave. But I get offered interviews and I'd go to them purely just to have the practice of interviews. Those people don't know that. But it's not about them. That's what I mean about investing in your career. It's doing interviews. Even if you know you don't want the job, just going through the process. Getting comfortable in an interview environment. Especially now where everybody's remote. It's completely different. So I just wanted to kind of leave you guys with that. And I just hope that you guys are a bit more forward thinking, a bit more strategic about a way forward. I am committing to the redundancy masterclass to be done before October. I apologize for the delay. It's literally just been so busy. I've like the influx of bookings. It literally felt like it came from nowhere. Long may it continue. And also as well, I've been self-caring, which I've been really, really enjoying, and just living my life. Also as well, I want to say that just because we're in a pandemic, we can't forget like medical stuff, like smear tests and stuff. I recently had a smear test, and by the grace of God, it came back all clear. And I wanted to re-emphasize the importance of us taking care of our health, and smear tests are part of your health. So please, 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 if you know you're due a smear test and you haven't received a letter from the GP, chase the GP. This country will kill you off if they could. I literally feel like I have to manage my doctor's surgery. Yeah, and the doctors, I manage them. I project manage them. And unfortunately, it's where we are. And as a black woman, I feel like if I don't take charge of my health and I don't take charge of the doctors that are supposed to do a job, this country could kill me off, and it's not going to happen. So please take care of your health and each other. As you guys know, I also have Vagina Chronicles. I spoke about it in the last episode, and it is on Snapchat. So if you're interested, 11th of October 2018, I will be doing Vagina Chronicles, and I'm talking about all things personal hygiene and vagina health, and how I look after my vagina and how I look after like my personal hygiene and stuff. And you guys really enjoy it. I'm slightly OCD as well, so it's always good to kind of share tips and tricks in terms of hygiene. And I do highlights on Instagram. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is Toya_Washington, or of course follow the Toya Talks Instagram page, which is Toya_Talks, or follow me on Twitter, Toya_W, or on Snapchat, Toya Washington, all one word. If you want to email a dilemma in, then the email address is hello@toyatalks.com. Listen, I've really enjoyed this episode, and each and every Tuesday you guys bless me with the opportunity to give you a new episode, and I'm really, really happy about it. Thank you for all the engagement. Thank you as always for all the support. Please share the podcast. If there's a particular episode that you think that will help somebody, please send them the episode. Or if you think the entire platform will help them, then please send them the podcast and the website, which is www.toytalks.com. If you want to engage in the masterclasses, it is on the toytalks.com website, and they will be up there and updated as well. And yeah, you know, I'm enjoying this journey. I'm enjoying, you know, all the opportunities I have to be able to educate black women on how to navigate the world of work safely, and in doing so being more successful in a workplace that necessarily hasn't been designed to benefit us. But I really believe that if we share our experiences, if we teach each other, and more importantly we are open with some of our tribulations of the workplace, I definitely feel that we'll see more successful black women in the world of work in influential positions, but more importantly, senior management where they can make changes. So yeah, guys, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to thank you again and ask you guys to join me again next week for another episode of the Toya Talks podcast. My name has been Toya Washington, and you have been listening to the Toya Talks podcast.